Hey guys, good evening. It's Alyssa Lascala here with Fit with Liz, and welcome to the very first Diet Myth Monday. This was actually inspired by the group that I post about very often, the weight loss detox and anti-aging group. And I had just done in there the live that I did on the military diet. And I know I had done it on my personal page as well, but I got great feedback in there, and one of my colleagues, Rachel, commented and said, we should talk about more diet myths. I was asking people what they would want to hear about, and she actually commented that the Atkins diet, and I was like, you know what, let's do this every Monday. Let's actually address different food and diet topics that you guys may have heard that you don't know if they are or aren't true, or if they are for some people and they aren't for other people. So that's my goal. So if you guys have a specific diet or a specific, food thing that you heard about, like, oh, these 5 different veggies or these 5 different foods, cut belly fat like that, post it below. I want to have your feedback as far as the topics that you want covered. And, my goal is to serve you guys. Hey, and thanks for joining. Love you too. So if you guys have specific things, anything from, it could be something from Weight Watchers to, what about bananas? Do you think that they're good for your health? Like anything. So I'm going to address every single Monday at 8 p.m. live on my personal page, whether, this certain food or diet topic is fact or fiction, and I will give you guys my scientific review of it to see if it's something that you may want to incorporate. So tonight we're going to be talking about the Atkins diet. So many of you guys are probably familiar with it. I know I always saw the boxes in the grocery stores that have the big red A on it, but I had never honestly explored further into like their website to see. I knew what the products that they had, and I knew it was supposed to be considered like low carb, but I didn't really know all of the other details. So I went in and I looked, and I went to Atkins.com, you can as well, and the first thing I did was I went to their tab that says how it works. And what I did love, I will say what I did love is that they open up their statement of how Atkins works, is that they know that not every single diet approach works for everybody, that you have to find what works with your body and your metabolism. And so that was what I really liked about it, is that it wasn't like the military diet that I was talking to you guys about a few days ago, where they said that, everybody should do this, and if you're hard as nails, you can get it done. This works for absolutely everybody. Atkins doesn't say that. They say it works for some people, and then other people, it may not work as well. And really, guys, it's all based on low carbohydrate. And the reason, guys, carbs aren't bad, and it really depends on your metabolic makeup, whether you're somebody that can process carbs better than someone else that may, need high amounts of carbs and low amounts of fat. But with this, it's really meant to especially help people that need to stabilize their insulin levels and their blood sugar levels. So what they do is they have you go to, the website, and you will put in like your age, your weight, your height, the goal weight that you want to get to, if you're pre-diabetic, if you're breastfeeding, all of those different types of things, and they'll spit out a plan for you. So they typically have like 3 meals and 2 different snacks, which, equals probably about, every 3 to 4 hours you are eating something, keeping your metabolism up. So I understand what they're trying to do there. But what I don't like out of all of this is the incorporation of some of their products that don't have the best quality. So you guys have to remember, like, you can tell, you look at some of their programs or their plans, and you can tell it's a big caloric deficit, it's a big cut in calories. But the products that they have you suiting into or weaving into your program throughout the day, they don't have the best quality. That's the first thing that I went to, because that's how they're making a lot of their money, guys. That's how they're making majority of their money, is, going to Giant or Wegmans or the food stores and getting their bars, getting their shakes, and all that type of stuff. So I went in and I looked at the quality of these, because, guys, we all know, and I've, preached to you guys a million times, that you can start to look good, but whether internally your body is really going to stay good is a totally different story, depending on the quality of ingredients that you're putting in there. So I went and looked first at their frozen dinners, because they work that into like almost every single program or plan that they gave an example of on the website. And so their first one was like the cheddar and broccoli like frozen dinner. And you go and you look, and clearly, like, I'm not the biggest proponent of trying to do dairy all the time, but they have, the frozen dinners, there was 960 milligrams of sodium in just one of their frozen dinners. So if you guys don't know like where that falls in your daily recommended intake, it's 40%, and you're going to retain a lot of water in that. Plus, you don't know where the quality of the vegetables is coming from. You don't know the quality of the meat. it's not organic, I can tell you that. So you're having additional hormones and antibiotics and stuff like that. They're going to be pumped in that meat, so you don't really know about that. And then there's all the other preservatives other than just the sodium that's in there. So if you look at it, yeah, it's going to be lower carbohydrate, but they want to increase your fat and increase your protein, and that's fine. But guys, this doesn't work for everybody. So the reason that they're doing this is because if you do low carbohydrate and your body reacts well to it, you're starting to, one, sensitize your insulin levels, sensitize like your blood sugar levels, and make them steady to keep you from having cravings, keep you from having your hormones, spike and drop throughout the day. But this works really well for some people that don't process carbs well, because they start into what's called ketosis. So ketosis is when, your carbohydrate storage in your body goes so low that your body starts to tap into fat sources and burns fat. So that's the idea behind it, guys. If you know someone that's just doing a low carb, which is what Atkins is, if you know somebody doing low carb and they do really well with it, that's because their body doesn't process carbs as well and is starting to tap into the fat stores to burn fat, clearly mobilize that for energy. But we have to realize, guys, is when you cut the carbs down, you need to increase the protein and the fats high enough to be able to compensate for all the calories that you're getting rid of. So what a lot of people do is, they'll cut the carbs, but they don't have the healthy fats in there. They don't increase the fats enough at all, and they don't have enough protein in there. So for example, what they had for like one of the breakfasts that they had was like a spinach and cheese omelet. And then their snack was like a quarter cup of blueberries. And then you had something really tiny for lunch, like some type of like stir fry, which that's not very specific. I have no idea what would be in there. And then you had a handful of walnuts for a snack. And then you go and you have your frozen dinner from them. So, they're really relying on you wanting to just feel safe in any of the foods that you're having or any of the snacks that you're having by going and getting their products. And it's smart, it's genius marketing. Like, hey, I know if I go get an Atkins bar, an Atkins shake, like I'm going to be compliant with my plan and it's going to be low carb. But you're taking in all these preservatives, you're taking in all these other additives, guys, that in the end, like, it's going to cause so much GI inflammation for you, it's not even funny. So if you really want to be able to do low carb, you can, but don't feel like you have to do the Atkins diet, and don't feel like you have to do low carb. Guys, for the longest time, like several years ago, I was really high carb. Like, people couldn't believe how much carbohydrates I was taking in and still being able to maintain my physique. But at the same time, I had much lower fat. But I'll tell you, I think that it really affected my hormone levels. As a female, you do need certain levels of fat, and mine were very low. It can affect your sex drive. It can affect all the other hormones in your body, your estrogen, your testosterone. So you have to be really careful. So another alternative, instead of just doing completely low carb, is carb cycling, guys. So for example, if you are doing a workout like 3 days a week, maybe cycling in a little bit more carbohydrates on the days that you're doing those workouts, and then lower the fat on those days. And then the days where you're not training, do a little bit lower carbohydrates and increase your fat. So you don't have to pick one or the other. You don't have to be someone that says, I'm totally low carb. No, cycle it in. I was literally just talking to somebody tonight about that, one of my client consultations, saying I think that, carb cycling could be really good for you. Incorporating different amounts of carbs on different days, so the days that your body needs more, you give it more. And then when you are taking in carbohydrates, making sure that you're taking in the right kind, number one, to still stabilize your insulin levels. And number two, surrounding them around your workout for the majority of the time, so that you're really you're monopolizing on the carbohydrates that you're taking in and using them during your workout. That's when your body's going to need them the most. So if you guys have any questions about the Atkins diet at all, or if you have feedback, if you've done it, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. But if you go to the Atkins website, the one thing I will like to point out to you is that they will say that they have 80 peer-reviewed independent studies on the diet principles. What I want you guys to realize is that just because you will go to a website on a specific diet or a specific diet approach that says we have, peer-reviewed third-party studies, which is great, but if you look deep enough, it's not on the Atkins diet. The only thing that those studies are on saying, oh, it decreases your risk for cancer, and it decreases this, and it improves that, it's just on lowering carbohydrates and increasing fat and protein intake. So it's not a direct correlation. They don't have these studies that say, hey, you do the Atkins diet and it decreases your risk for cancer. It's not the same as when I say to you guys, hey, there's 23 peer-reviewed studies on the little yellow pill proving that it lowers your stress level. Like, they're literally studies that are on the little yellow pill itself. If we were just talking about lowering stress level, lowering your oxidative stress level, and all the studies due to oxidative stress, there's hundreds of thousands of those, but they're not directly correlated to this specific product. None of those are directly correlated to the Atkins product. It's literally just the principles. So don't be fooled when you go to these specific websites and see that they say, hey, we have this study and that study. Look, pick it apart, comb through it, and find that those studies are probably just based off of the principles and not exactly what this diet is. Because I'll tell you, a lot of their products have soy in it, or soy isolate for a lot of their protein. And you guys know I did a live, a week or 2 weeks ago on the top 5 foods or products that increase the estrogen levels and the hormone levels in your body, and soy is in there. Soy is one of the #1 things. So just keep that in mind if you're going and trying to do the Atkins products. If you want to do low carbohydrate, you can try it, but you don't have to rely specifically on their products. You can get a lot of other good whole food sources. So anything that you guys want me to address the next couple of Mondays, let me know. I am here to serve you, so post it in the comments, anything you can think of, and I'm happy to address it. So hopefully this helped you guys. If you have any more questions about low carb or carb cycling, and whether it's for you, feel free to private message me. Have a good night, guys. Happy Monday.